Earth had always looked up to the stars with wonder. For centuries, humanity had wondered if they were alone in the universe, a speck in a seemingly infinite void. Yet even as humanity reached the furthest corners of space, no definitive answers had come. They were alone, or so they thought. That was until the signal came. It started as a whisper, barely noticeable amidst the background noise of space. But to the team at the International Space Research Center, ISRC, it was unmistakable. A team of astrophysicists, led by Dr. Amelia Trent, were the first to catch the anomaly. At first, they thought it was just a malfunction or a natural event, perhaps a distant supernova or a rogue asteroid sending out unusual electromagnetic waves. But there was something about it that felt different. For one, it wasn't random. The signal was too patterned, too structured, almost as though it was deliberately encoded. It wasn't just noise. It had intent, a specific sequence of pulses, timed precisely, with a rhythm that suggested intelligence. Dr. Trent and her colleagues worked tirelessly for days, running simulations and calibrating their instruments, but the signal didn't fade. It grew stronger. It wasn't long before the ISRC's best minds concluded that they were receiving something far more significant than anyone had expected. The signal was coming from a location deep in the Andromeda Galaxy, millions of light-years away from Earth. But it wasn't just the distance that was puzzling. It was the location itself. The source was coming from the heart of a region of space that no known species had dared to explore, a place even the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy avoided. It was a void, a no-go zone where stars burned out and galaxies collapsed, leaving nothing but darkness. But now, from this forbidden area, humanity was receiving a call, a beacon that could no longer be ignored. As the days went by, a sense of anticipation grew. Dr. Trent and her team knew they had to make a decision. They could ignore the signal, dismiss it as a curiosity, but something deep within her told Amelia that this was different. The humans had always prided themselves on their curiosity, on their drive to explore, to know more. This could be the greatest discovery in history. It could open a doorway to an entire universe of knowledge. But there was something else gnawing at her. The closer they got to pinpointing the signal's exact origin, the more unsettling it became. Every time they tried to dig deeper, every time they thought they were getting closer to understanding its message, the signal seemed to shift, as though it was aware of their efforts. It didn't want to be discovered, but it couldn't be stopped. Then, after nearly 2 weeks of intense analysis, they made a startling discovery. The signal wasn't just some isolated burst of communication. It was a message, a call for help, but not from another civilization. This was something older, far older. It spoke in ancient, incomprehensible patterns, as if it was trying to convey something that had long been forgotten. The team's first instinct was to panic. They had uncovered something that was never meant to be found. Yet, despite the warnings from the unknown, the fascination with the signal was undeniable. Amelia stood in the control room late one night, staring at the blinking screens, a cold chill running down her spine. She knew, without a doubt, that this was just the beginning. Humanity had just discovered a signal sent from the very edges of the universe, a signal that would lead them into the heart of a mystery that even the oldest beings in the galaxy had feared to touch. And soon, they would be forced to decide if they were brave enough to face whatever lay beyond the stars. Dr. Amelia Trent couldn't sleep that night. The implications of the signal were far too vast to comprehend, and yet, as the hours ticked by, her mind raced. The universe, as humanity knew it, was about to change. The discovery of the signal, coming from deep within the uncharted void, was not just a breakthrough. It was a harbinger of something greater, something humanity had never been prepared for. The next morning, as the ISRC scrambled to analyze the data, an encrypted transmission arrived. The message was short, terse, and unsettling. It was from a race of beings known as the Andorans, an ancient and respected civilization that had helped form the Galactic Council centuries ago. Their message was clear: cease all investigation of the signal. Immediate action is required. We are sending a delegation." The warning came as a shock. The Galactic Council, a vast alliance of the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy, rarely interfered with individual races. They were content to allow species like humanity to explore space on their own terms. But now, the Andorans, wise, ageless beings who had seen civilizations rise and fall, were sending an urgent warning. An emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was called. Representatives from dozens of civilizations gathered in a massive, floating council chamber in deep space, their holographic forms flickering as they took their seats. Dr. Trent was invited to attend as a special guest, her expertise on the signal making her a vital part of the conversation. The chamber was a blur of colors and voices as the various representatives discussed the situation. The beings that made up the council were as diverse as the stars themselves. Insectoid species, gas giants who communicated via electromagnetic pulses, and humanoids of every conceivable shape. But despite their differences, they shared a single belief. The signal that humanity had uncovered was not just a curiosity. It was a warning. The ancient being known as Marak, the leader of the Andorans, spoke first. His voice was calm but carried an undertone of fear. The signal originates from the heart of the Forbidden Zone, a place no civilization dares to venture. That region was sealed off long ago by powers far older than the Council itself. We have kept it locked away to protect the galaxy from its dangers. Why? Dr. Trent interjected, her voice filled with disbelief. What's out there? Why didn't you tell us this sooner? Marek's holographic form shifted, as though uncertain. We've kept this secret because, until now, no one had the means to find it. But the signal is not just a call for help. It is the resurgence of something ancient, a power that has been dormant since before the rise of our civilizations. Another representative, a towering figure with bioluminescent markings, spoke up. The ancients, the beings who once ruled the universe, are gone. Their empire has crumbled, but their creations remain. And one of those creations lies at the core of the Forbidden Zone. Dr. Trent felt a chill. You're saying this signal is linked to the ancients, to something they left behind. Yes, Marak confirmed, but not just any creation. The artifact is a weapon designed to reshape the very fabric of the universe. It is the key to untold power, power that could either save or destroy us all. The room fell silent, the weight of his words settling over the assembly. Humanity, like the other species of the galaxy, had always assumed that the ancients were nothing more than a myth, a distant legend. But now, the reality was clear. The signal was a beacon, not to a civilization, but to something far more dangerous. The Council must act, Marak continued, his tone hardening. You must stop your investigation, Dr. Trent. The power of the artifact cannot fall into unprepared hands. We cannot risk it. Amelia's heart raced. Her team had only just begun their exploration of the signal, and already the galaxy's most powerful beings were urging them to turn back. But why? What was so dangerous about this artifact that even the galactic leaders feared it? Are we supposed to ignore this? Amelia asked, the determination in her voice rising. Are we supposed to let the rest of the galaxy live in fear of something they don't understand? This is our chance to finally uncover the truth. The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Marak's gaze softened, but only slightly. I understand your desire to seek knowledge. But some knowledge, Dr. Trent, is a curse. If you wish to explore the signal, you must be prepared for consequences far beyond your understanding. The Ancient Ones left their mark on the galaxy for a reason, and that reason is not one you are ready to face. The warning hung heavy in the air. Amelia felt a growing unease, but there was no turning back now. The signal had called to humanity, and they would answer, no matter the cost. The Council's warning hung over Dr. Amelia Trent like a dark cloud, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was being kept from them. The secrecy surrounding the Forbidden Zone, the fear in the voices of the Council members, the mention of the artifact. Everything felt like a puzzle with pieces that didn't quite fit. She had to know more. She couldn't turn back now. Weeks passed, and the ISRC team continued their work, combing through every historical record they could find, trying to make sense of the little information they had. The more they searched, the more the story of the Ancient Ones began to unfold. They were mentioned in scattered fragments of ancient texts, most of them passed down from civilizations long dead. Legends and myths from countless species all seemed to point to the same mysterious figures, beings who had once ruled the universe and shaped life itself. The Ancient Ones, as they were called, were thought to be gods by some and destroyers by others. They had been said to possess abilities beyond comprehension, capable of manipulating the very fabric of reality. Stars, planets, even entire galaxies, nothing was beyond their reach. But then, just as quickly as they had appeared, they'd vanished, leaving no trace of their existence except for a scattered handful of ruins and mysterious objects. One story in particular caught Amelia's attention, a myth from a race of beings known as the HFY, a once great civilization whose empire had crumbled centuries ago. According to their ancient texts, the HFY had encountered the Ancient Ones long before the Galactic Council was formed. The texts told of a great meeting, where the Ancient Ones revealed the truth of the universe. Earth was not just another planet. It was the birthplace of everything, the origin of life, the center of creation. But the most chilling part of the story came later, after the Ancient Ones had disappeared. According to the HFY myth, the galaxy had been plunged into chaos following their departure. Star systems collapsed, civilizations fell into ruin, and the very balance of existence seemed to fracture. And then, as if they had never been, the Ancient Ones were gone, leaving only their remnants behind. Amelia stared at the text in disbelief. The more she dug, the clearer it became. The Ancient Ones had left behind not just technology or artifacts, but something far more profound, a secret buried deep within the fabric of reality itself. Earth was not a random world in the galaxy. It was a focal point, a nexus of incredible power. And somehow, this power was tied to the artifact the signal had led them to. Why Earth? Amelia whispered aloud to herself, the words heavy with the weight of their implications. Why had the Ancient Ones chosen this planet, out of all the others, to be the cradle of life? Her thoughts were interrupted by a sharp ping from the communication console. She turned to find an urgent message flashing across the screen. It was from the Andorans. Their message was short but unequivocal. "We are sending an envoy. You must cease your investigation at once. The danger is greater than you know." Amelia's pulse quickened. The Andorans had been clear. The artifact was not something humanity should tamper with. Yet there was a part of her, one she couldn't ignore, that pushed her forward. If the Ancient Ones had hidden such power on Earth, there had to be a reason. There had to be something humanity could unlock, something humanity was meant to discover. She could feel it in her bones. This was their moment. As her team prepared to analyze the signal further, they discovered something that made her heart race with both dread and excitement. Hidden within the signal was a new encrypted message, a set of coordinates, leading to a specific location deep beneath the Earth's surface. It wasn't a random spot. It was precisely where the artifact had been buried. Humanity had only just scratched the surface of this ancient mystery. The deeper they dug, the more they realized that Earth wasn't just a planet. It was a battleground for the cosmos itself, and the secrets buried within it were waiting to be uncovered. But whether humanity was ready for those secrets, that remained to be seen. The coordinates from the encrypted message led to a secluded location in the Arctic. Beneath the endless expanse of ice and snow, a hidden chamber awaited, its entrance sealed for millennia. Amelia's team, along with a specialized expedition crew, began their journey toward the coordinates. As they set foot on the icy expanse, there was an eerie quiet, a stillness that seemed to hang in the air, as if the Earth itself were holding its breath. The journey took several days, and the further they ventured into the desolate landscape, the more they began to notice strange anomalies, disruptions in the electromagnetic fields, faint but persistent hums that reverberated beneath their feet. It was as though the planet itself was reacting to their presence, guiding them towards something ancient and powerful. The atmosphere grew heavy with anticipation. Then, on the fourth day, they found it, an entrance buried beneath layers of ice. The expedition team dug into the frozen ground, uncovering what appeared to be a massive stone door, engraved with symbols that no human had ever seen before. The surface was etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift as they moved, almost as though they were alive. Amelia's heart raced as she studied the markings, recognizing some from the ancient texts she had analyzed earlier. The symbols had a strange familiarity to them, but they held no immediate meaning. "We found it," Amelia whispered, her voice barely audible. "The artifact is here." With the help of advanced technology, the team managed to open the massive stone door, revealing a cavernous underground structure. As they descended deeper into the bowels of the earth, the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy, and the temperature dropped even further, as though the very atmosphere was charged with the weight of ancient power. At the heart of the chamber lay the artifact, a colossal crystalline structure that pulsed with a dim blue glow. It stood in the center of the room, surrounded by a series of intricate mechanisms, many of which were long dormant. The artifact's surface was smooth and reflective, yet it seemed to hum with energy, as if alive. Before they could take another step, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A low, rumbling sound echoed through the chamber, vibrating in their bones. Amelia's eyes widened as a series of flashes of light flickered in the darkness, and from the shadows emerged figures. Tall, slender beings with an ethereal presence. Their forms were made of shifting light, their eyes glowing with ancient wisdom. They moved with a slow, deliberate grace, as though time itself bent around them. For a moment, the team stood frozen, unsure of what they were seeing. These beings were not human, and yet they radiated a power that made the ancient gods seem like mere children. The figures spoke in a language that no human had ever heard, their voices a mix of harmonic tones and subtle vibrations. The air crackled with their energy, and the temperature dropped even further. Amelia stepped forward, her voice trembling with a mixture of awe and fear. "Who are you?" One of the beings stepped forward, its form solidifying into a more recognizable shape. It was tall, with a humanoid silhouette, but its features were indistinct, shifting like a mirage. The being spoke in a deep, resonant voice that echoed in the chamber. "We are the Watchers," it said, "the guardians of the artifact, the keepers of the ancient power." Amelia's breath caught in her throat. The Watchers were the stuff of legend, beings who had watched over the universe since time immemorial, beings who had once served the Ancient Ones. They had been thought to be extinct, mere whispers in the wind. But here they were, standing before her, their presence a testament to the enormity of the power they protected. "The artifact must remain undisturbed," the Watcher continued. "It is not meant for mortal hands. You do not understand what you seek." Amelia's mind raced, the weight of the Watcher's words sinking in. The Watcher's warning was clear. They had come to prevent humanity from unlocking the artifact's true potential. But why? What was so dangerous about it? Was the risk too great? "What happens if we unlock its power?" Amelia asked, her voice barely a whisper. The Watcher's eyes glowed brighter, and the chamber seemed to darken with an unspoken threat. "The power of the artifact can reshape the very fabric of existence. It is not a gift. It is a curse. And once it is unleashed, there will be no turning back." The Watchers turned toward the artifact, their movements deliberate and mournful. "It must remain sealed, for the sake of all who exist." Amelia's heart pounded. The weight of their warning pressed down on her like a suffocating force. The decision now seemed even more impossible. To ignore the warning meant risking everything, to unlock a power greater than any civilization could control. But the temptation to learn, to understand, was overwhelming, and the fate of the universe could very well rest in their hands. The room fell into a heavy silence, and Amelia knew this was only the beginning. The Watchers had made their warning clear, but the question remained: would humanity choose to turn away, or would they press forward, no matter the cost? The silence in the chamber grew unbearable. The Watchers, their forms shimmering with ancient energy, surrounded the artifact as if protecting it from the very gaze of those who had come to uncover its secrets. Amelia's heart pounded in her chest. The warning had been clear. This artifact, whatever it was, held the power to change the very nature of existence itself. But the weight of that power was a burden. The Watchers made it evident that humanity was not ready to wield it. Yet, despite their warnings, Amelia's curiosity, the drive to understand, continued to burn within her. "What exactly does it do?" Amelia asked, her voice barely above a whisper, though her eyes remained fixed on the artifact. The Watcher who had spoken before stepped forward again, its glowing form pulsating like a heartbeat. "The artifact is not merely an object, Dr. Trent," the Watcher intoned. "It is a key to a door that should never be opened." "To what?" Amelia pressed, her mind racing. "What door?" The Watcher's gaze seemed to pierce through her, as if the very fabric of time and space itself rippled with the weight of its knowledge. "The door to the primordial forces, the true origin of all life and death, the forces that the Ancient Ones mastered in their time, forces that the universe cannot bear again." Amelia stepped back, her mind spinning. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a simple artifact. It was a key to the universe itself. But the more she learned, the more it became apparent that the artifact wasn't something that should be disturbed. The Watchers had made that clear, yet there was something else in their presence. A fear, ancient and deep, that lingered in the air. "We were once like you," the Watcher said, almost sadly. "A race driven by curiosity and ambition. We sought knowledge, too, once. But we learned the hard way that some truths are too dangerous to uncover. The Ancient Ones created this artifact to control the forces of creation itself, but their hubris led to their downfall." Another Watcher stepped forward, its form flickering with sorrow. "The artifact is what caused their demise. They tried to manipulate the very fabric of reality, to shape life and death to their will. In the end, it destroyed them, shattered their civilization beyond repair." Amelia's breath caught in her throat. The fall of the Ancient Ones was a tragic myth, but hearing it told firsthand by those who had witnessed it was chilling. This artifact, this relic from their time, was not merely a tool. It was a harbinger of their doom, a weapon of unimaginable power that had led to the collapse of an entire civilization. "And now you wish to unlock it," the Watcher continued, "to gain access to the very forces that destroy the Ancient Ones. You and your kind may think yourselves different, but your desire for power, for knowledge, will lead you down the same path. The consequences will be the same." Amelia stood motionless, her thoughts torn between the overwhelming urge to understand and the looming threat of catastrophe. If the Watchers were to be believed, this artifact wasn't just a discovery, it was a test for humanity, to see whether they would make the same fatal mistake that the Ancient Ones had. "Is there no way to use it?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Is there no good that can come of it?" The Watcher shook its head slowly. "Some doors should remain closed. Some knowledge should remain hidden. The artifact is not meant for mortals to wield. It will destroy you, as it did the Ancient Ones. The power it holds cannot be controlled. It is too vast, too dangerous." A deep, unsettling silence filled the chamber as Amelia processed their words. The weight of her decision seemed almost unbearable. She had come so far, discovered so much, but now it felt as though the universe itself was warning her away. She wanted to believe there was a way to harness the power of the artifact, to learn from it, to use it for good, but the warnings were clear. Humanity was teetering on the edge of a precipice. Then why not destroy it? She asked, her voice tinged with desperation. If it's so dangerous, Why not just destroy it and end this nightmare? The Watcher paused, its glowing form dimming for a moment. We cannot destroy it. It is older than all of us. Its existence is woven into the fabric of reality itself. To destroy it would unravel the very essence of the universe. Amelia felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The artifact, this powerful and terrifying force, was a part of the universe. It couldn't be destroyed. It could only be sealed away, perhaps forever. The Watcher's voice softened. The choice is yours now, Dr. Trent. You must decide whether humanity will rise above its instincts or fall into the same darkness that claimed the Ancient Ones. The room seemed to close in around her. Her decision would echo through time itself. What would humanity choose? To seek knowledge at any cost, or to heed the warnings of those who had seen the universe's darkest secrets? Amelia knew the answer wouldn't come easily. Amelia stood in the heart of the chamber, the Watcher's warning echoing in her mind. The weight of their words settled on her shoulders like a burden she wasn't sure she could carry. She looked back at the artifact, its crystalline form pulsing faintly, as if it too were waiting for her decision. The room felt suffocating, and yet she couldn't bring herself to turn away. She had come this far. How could she stop now? The Watchers, silent and unmoving, seemed to sense the turmoil within her. One of them, the tallest, stepped closer, its form shimmering like a mirage. Dr. Trent, it said softly, its voice filled with ancient sorrow. You must understand that the power you seek cannot be tamed. Not by you. Not by any living being. But what if we don't try? Amelia replied, her voice shaking. What if we learn from it, understand it, and use it for good? Humanity. We've evolved. We're not like the Ancient Ones. You believe you are different, the Watcher said, its form flickering. But history has shown that all who attempt to harness such power are eventually consumed by it. The Ancient Ones thought the same, and they were wrong. Their hubris led to their fall, and now it threatens you as well. Amelia's mind raced. The temptation to understand, to learn, was like a fire burning at her core. But the warnings, the countless warnings, kept pounding against her thoughts. She could almost feel the weight of the universe pressing on her chest, urging her to step back. But she couldn't. Not yet. I have to know, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. I have to know what's hidden here, what the Ancient Ones left behind. The Watcher's expression softened, and its voice became almost mournful. You are not the first to seek this knowledge. Many before you, many of your kind have tried. And many of them, in their desperation, opened the door to destruction. The choice you face is one of great consequence. Amelia's eyes were drawn back to the artifact. She had to admit the truth to herself. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was obsession. The artifact had called to her from the moment they'd discovered the signal. She could feel it, deep in her bones. And now, in the presence of the Watchers, she could sense its power, its invitation. Her team was behind her, waiting in tense silence, unsure of what to do. They had followed her every step of the way, trusting her judgment. But they were afraid now. Amelia could see the fear in their eyes. They were wondering, just as she was, if they were making a grave mistake. Could they really walk away from this? Why Earth? She asked suddenly, her voice breaking the silence. Why did the Ancient Ones choose this planet? Why leave something so powerful here? The Watcher's form flickered again, and for a moment, it seemed to hesitate. Earth is not just another world, it said quietly. It is the birthplace of life itself, the nexus of creation. The artifact was hidden here for a reason, because it is the one place that can withstand the power it holds. But that does not mean it is meant to be wielded. The room felt colder, and the Watcher's presence seemed to grow heavier, their warning more insistent. Amelia's mind felt like it was spinning in circles. Everything she had believed about exploration, about the pursuit of knowledge, was now in conflict with the overwhelming sense of danger surrounding the artifact. The balance between curiosity and caution had tipped dangerously. What was the right choice? As she stood frozen in indecision, a voice from her team cut through the tension. It was Dr. Eric Powell, one of the senior researchers, his voice shaking but resolute. "Amelia, we can't go any further. The Watchers are right. We've already uncovered more than we ever should have. This could destroy us." The words hit Amelia like a slap. Eric was right. He was the rational one, the voice of caution that she had always trusted. But her obsession with discovery kept her anchored to the artifact. She had pushed so hard for this moment, for the chance to uncover the truth. To let go now, to walk away, would feel like defeat. Her breath caught as she looked at the Watchers again. "What happens if we try to unlock it?" she asked, her voice thick with emotion. The Watcher's expression grew somber, its eyes dimming as it looked at the artifact. "It will unleash a force beyond your comprehension, a force that cannot be contained. Once the artifact is activated, there will be no return. The universe will be forever changed." Amelia stood motionless, her hand trembling as she reached toward the artifact, its glow intensifying. She knew in that moment, deep down, that there was no turning back. Whatever choice she made now would alter the course of human history forever. The truth was both a gift and a curse. "Amelia, don't do this," Eric said, his voice pleading. "Please." But in her heart, Amelia knew that the choice was already made. The artifact had called to her, and there was no turning back. Amelia's hand hovered just above the artifact, the warmth from its crystalline surface radiating against her fingers. Her heart pounded in her chest, every beat echoing like a drum in the silence of the chamber. The Watchers stood still, their forms radiating an unspoken plea for her to step back. Eric's voice echoed in her mind, his words pleading, "Don't do this, Amelia. You don't know what you're unleashing." But the artifact was calling to her. Its energy resonated with something deep inside her, something primal, something she couldn't explain. She could feel it, like a whisper in her mind, beckoning her to uncover the secrets hidden within its depths. The room seemed to hum with anticipation, as if the entire universe held its breath, waiting for her to make the next move. "Amelia." Eric's voice was quieter now, almost a whisper tinged with fear. "If you activate it, there's no going back. We don't know what we'll be unleashing." She didn't respond. She couldn't. The temptation was too strong. The Watcher who had spoken to her earlier stepped forward again, its voice soft but filled with sorrow. "You do not understand the magnitude of what you are about to do. The artifact is not a tool for knowledge or power. It is a force, one that can undo everything you know. The Ancient Ones could not control it. Neither can you." Her fingers trembled. The weight of the Watcher's words pressed down on her chest, but the pull of the artifact was undeniable. She had already come too far to turn back now. Everything she had done had led to this moment. To turn away would mean to give up on the truth she had sought for so long, to abandon the path that had brought humanity here. With a final, determined breath, Amelia lowered her hand to the surface of the artifact. The moment her skin made contact with it, a surge of energy shot through her, coursing through her veins like lightning. Her vision blurred as the world around her seemed to warp and twist. The very fabric of reality seemed to bend, and for a brief moment, she felt as if she were floating in an endless void. The artifact pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, its glow intensifying with each passing second. Amelia's mind raced, images of distant galaxies, strange symbols, and glimpses of ancient beings flashing before her eyes. The knowledge, the power, it was all within her grasp. But then something else surged through her, an overwhelming sense of terror. The Watchers began to move, their forms flickering with increasing urgency. "No," one of them cried. "You do not understand what you have awakened." But it was too late. The artifact began to vibrate, a deep, resonating hum filling the chamber. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and the air thickened with an oppressive force. Amelia's body stiffened, her mind flooded with an unholy understanding of the universe, of creation, of destruction, of the delicate balance that held existence together. It was too much. The knowledge poured into her, faster than she could comprehend, overwhelming her senses. The Watchers' voices rang out in a final desperate plea. "You cannot control it, Amelia. It will consume you." In that moment, Amelia understood. The artifact was not just a tool. It was a doorway. A doorway to a power so vast, so incomprehensible, that no one, not even the Ancient Ones, had been able to fully grasp its true nature. And now, humanity had unlocked it. As the energy surged within her, Amelia felt herself breaking apart. Her body trembled, her mind a swirl of visions, concepts, and truths that defied all comprehension. She could see the fabric of the universe unraveling in front of her eyes. The stars, the planets, the very atoms that made up reality. Everything seemed to tremble on the edge of existence. Her breath caught in her throat. Was this the end? Had humanity just unlocked the beginning of their destruction? In that moment of pure chaos, a sharp voice cut through the madness. "Amelia." Eric's voice broke through the dissonance, strong and filled with resolve. "We can stop this. We can." But as the words faded into the background, the artifact pulsed one last time. And then, everything went silent. The chamber fell into a profound stillness. The pulsing glow of the artifact faded, and the vibrations in the ground gradually ceased. Time itself seemed to stretch, every second elongated into an eternity. Amelia's breath came in shallow gasps, her body trembling as the last of the energy from the artifact drained from her, leaving only a faint hum in the air. She was no longer sure what had happened. The flood of knowledge, the overwhelming power, it had come and gone in an instant. And now she was left in its wake, unsure of what was real and what was a dream. Her vision blurred, and her limbs felt heavy. For a moment, she was unsure if she could even stand. But as her mind slowly began to clear, the weight of what had transpired hit her like a tidal wave. She had done it. She had unlocked the artifact. And now she understood the universe in ways no human ever had. But with that knowledge came an overwhelming sense of dread. She could feel it, deep within her. The balance of the cosmos was shifting. Something was wrong. The world outside the chamber had changed, or perhaps it was her perception of it that had fractured. Either way, the consequences of unlocking the artifact were clear. She could feel the ripples of its power reverberating through the very fabric of reality. "Amelia?" Eric's voice broke through the fog in her mind. She turned toward him, her expression blank. He was standing a few feet away, his face pale with fear. His eyes were wide, filled with confusion and a desperate need for answers. "You?" Eric's voice faltered. "What have you done? What did you?" She opened her mouth to speak, but the words wouldn't come. The knowledge in her mind was too vast, too foreign. It was as if the very act of unlocking the artifact had fractured her understanding of reality. She could feel it, like a crack in the universe that she couldn't repair. The Watchers had been right. This was not something that could be controlled. The power she had unleashed was beyond comprehension, and it was already starting to spread, its influence reaching beyond the confines of the chamber. Her vision shifted, and for a brief, terrifying moment, she saw flashes of the world outside. Cities in chaos, people frozen in place, the natural world warping and twisting as the very laws of physics seemed to bend. She gasped, stumbling backward as the enormity of what she had done crashed down on her. The Watchers were watching her, their expressions grim and resigned. One of them stepped forward, its form flickering like a dying light. "It has begun," it said, its voice a whisper of regret. "The power you have unlocked is already spreading. It is only a matter of time before it consumes all." The ground beneath them trembled once more, but this time it was different. The vibrations were deep, almost primal, like the earth itself was reacting to the disruption in its core. The walls of the chamber began to crack, and an ominous hum filled the air. Amelia could feel it now. The artifact's influence was reaching further than she had anticipated, reshaping the very world outside. "Is it too late to stop it?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. She was beyond fear now. She was numb. She had done the unthinkable, and the universe was unraveling before her eyes. The Watcher who had spoken before stepped forward, its form shifting in the dim light. "It is not too late to contain it," it said slowly, "but the cost will be high. The artifact must be sealed again, before its influence spreads further. If you do not act soon, the fabric of reality itself will tear, and everything will be lost." Amelia's heart sank. She didn't know if she could reverse what had been set in motion. The power she had released was too great, too dangerous. She felt helpless, trapped in the very web of her own making. Eric grabbed her arm, pulling her from the haze of her thoughts. "We can still fix this," he urged. "We can find a way to seal it again. We have to." But as Amelia looked at the artifact, her mind racing with 1,000 possibilities, one thing was painfully clear. The universe and humanity were on the edge of a precipice. The question now was whether she could stop the destruction she had caused, or if it was already too late. The hum grew louder, more insistent. It was a sound of impending doom, of an unstoppable force that could not be contained. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the artifact once more. But this time, it wasn't curiosity that drove her hand. It was fear. Fear of what she had unleashed. Fear of what might come next.